to the Wellbeing and Career Work podcast. I'm delighted to be chatting with Michaela Czernekova. Michaela wants to support talented game changers to accept their power, vulnerability and emotions, being in tune with their body, emotions, mental space and life call. Being free from unhealthy dynamics, starting with food and habits, continuing in relationships, job or life. Michaela wishes for society our physical, mental and emotional health, joy and lightness. That way, people can live their mission, fulfill their potential, and feel the connection with one another and nature itself. From creating your personal healthy space, powerful evolution follows. Michaela holds a PhD in cell biology from the Faculty of Medicine, Charles University in Prague. On today's podcast, we'll be chatting about resilience. A very welcome to the podcast, Michaela Czernekova. How are you today, Michaela?
Hi, David. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm doing very well and I'm excited. How
Brilliant.
are you?
I am doing absolutely super duper. So, okay, let's get this started right now. Where are you right now on planet Earth?
So right now I'm in Czech Republic. We have wonderful weather, quite warm, surprisingly. So yeah, that's where I am.
Cool. So I gave a bit of brief introduction about your background. So can you let listeners know more about yourself?
So I have always been curious about growth and mindset and body movement and philosophy. So from very early age, I was searching and looking for some philosophy that I can stick with and some healthy coping mechanisms. And you know, I grew up in a family where it was not always so happy and not always like rainbows and unicorns. And my parents, they struggled themselves with their own habits and their own connection with the food. So from very early age, I actually heard those sentences that stick with me for many years later, such as "You will be fat because we have it in our genes," or you will be sick because from our father's side there will be diabetes and from our mother's side there will be cancer. And it's quite harsh, isn't it? So
Yeah, that's very harsh.
yeah, good start. Yeah, but I'm telling this because we sometimes are not aware that these sentences can like come into our subconscious mind and it stick with us. And for my case, I was like, no, this is not happening to me. I don't want to live this life. And when I was actually struggling with my weight management, I was thinking like, oh, I'm now in that age. Like, is this is this what is really happening? Like the prophecy that I was told when I was like young. So I didn't want it, and I turned myself a lot into exercise, and it was working. Like I had like nice working techniques, coping mechanisms, and stuff like that. And long story short, life hits me, right? Like everyone has some struggles, and there is a lot of stress at school environment, a lot of stress that we experience at the job. Then we can experience grief when we lost someone close. Relationships are not working. So in those moments, I noticed that I need to come back to my habits because I slipped away. So what I realized and understood is that to keep the routines and habits and health sustainable, it's important to understand our emotions when these shakeups are happening. And it's really important to live life that is fulfilled. And when we actually are living this fulfilled life, then like no outward experience can really shake us. So no COVID pandemic, no drama at work, no toxic relationships, like nothing will shake you up because you have that power and that strength within yourself. So this is something that I want people to know, that they are totally capable and like basically sky is the limit.
So,
Yeah.
Michaela, can I ask you then? So, when you heard these comments about, what's your weight and kind of
Mm.
be healthy? I mean, at what age were you when you first heard that comment?
I was like very little. I was like 10 years old, 10, 12, I think, like something like this.
And did you feel that pressure already? I mean, for a 10-year-old, I mean, I have children myself, and I
Mm.
I I mean, sometimes I suppose as parents we'll say something that's kind of like a
Of course.
joke.
Yeah,
We
of
might think
course.
it's a joke, but as a 10-year-old, obviously they take a lot of information on board and they might be more sensitive. And so, I mean, for you at 10 years of age, do you think even now has that made you kind of did you harden up quicker? Does that make sense? Did you become tougher quicker?
Oh, I think it was totally strengthening me because I like had to work through it. I was always very sensitive, and I saw that sensitivity as struggle for me because I always heard you have to toughen up, you have to be more strong, and I thought that I really have to toughen up and I have to be strong. So I was going on this journey of self-exploration and sometimes expose myself to new things. And I think this really helped me. And with parents, I like what you say. Like there will always be something. Like my parents have me when they were 18, so
Wow, young.
they have like very, if I would have kids when I was 18, I would not have such awareness to think
Yes.
about the patterns that I am like giving my kids.
Yes.
So it's always like this, and we all react differently to these things. So that's the shift that is happening, like to be aware of that pattern and make the shift, like to be aware that we can change it and we can choose who we want to be. It's not that we are born this way and we will react this way until end of our life, but we are creating ourselves basically every morning, every minute. We are making decisions. Who are we going to be?
It's interesting, Michaela, because you first heard to say these comments when you're 10, and it's you still remember them. So
Yeah.
it's kind of it's unfortunate because the your family members in this. I mean, what is your relationship like with your family members? Are they aware of how you felt?
I think that they took it, it's okay. So my relationship is, I think, healthy at this moment.
Good, good.
Yeah, yeah. And like I don't want they feel guilty and bad about it because like I dealt with it and it happened, and like there's no point to expose them with this. But for me, it's like to be maybe a little bit more aware of what I'm telling myself, because what I'm telling myself, that's my limiting belief. That's my
Yes.
belief that I live in, and it can affect others people. So for my job, this is crucial, and I have to be so much aware of it. And that is also why I constantly expose myself to self-exploration
Yes.
and also coaching, because I want to grow and I want to like be better person and lead by example. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
So for me, there is no point to like tell them what they did and what they didn't, but we can focus on future and what we want to build actually.
And the positives. Yeah, no, you're right because I think even myself growing up, um, I was into sports, and
Mhm.
sometimes friends say or teammates they used to say stuff, or I would say stuff to them,
Yeah, yeah.
and you would think at the time it was like a joke or it was kind of funny, but you don't realize until later on that maybe they took it a different way. And I think it is words sometimes, especially in today's world, words sometimes hurt more than than physical actions. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
sometimes what we say to somebody, we think, ah, it's only a joke, but to them it might really hurt. So it's yeah, no, it's very fascinating to hear you there. One question I want to ask you before we move on to the main topic is, what's the Czech Republic like? So if I was to go on, I mean, I've been there. I've been there. But
Mhm.
for other people that want to go on holiday, what's it like? What's it like? Give them a 60-second overview of the Czech Republic. I mean, I think it's beautiful, but I'm biased. You go ahead.
So, like many people go there because of beer and food.
Yes.
And that is also why I choose this topic, because we like food is the basic that we are nourished from, and we sometimes take like normal that we are addicted to sugar. And it's in my country is with the beer, for instance. It's normal to drink beer, and it's cheaper than water.
Wow. Okay.
So, and I mean, I don't want to put shame on beer. Like, I don't have problem with it, but I'm not doing to myself. I don't drink beer, and it's a lot of sugar and doesn't make me feel any better. So not for me. But if you want to try, like, you are more than welcome. And for me, what I really love is the nature that we have here. um, when I was in Sweden, like, this was really big issue in the country, that you can be free to explore nature. So in my country, I took it for granted, and I didn't realize that it's actually such a gift to go out to the nature,
Yes.
and not everyone has. The opportunity to be in really wild nature. So I think we have like really beautiful mountains, a lot of activities, quite easy access to sport, I think. Um, so
So brilliant. So generally, the tourism board of the Czech Republic now, they need to pay you money because you've given them a 60-second boost to the economy. Okay. So
yeah.
you promoted the Czech Republic. So well done you. So okay, let's move on then. So our main topic today is resilience. So can you just explain in your own opinion or your own words, what is resilience?
Yeah, so we can have a look on it from many different points of view. From psychological point of view, we can see it as our physical, mental, and emotional flexibility and ability to adjust to some external and internal triggers. We can have a look on it as ability to recover from some difficult experience, or even from some traumatic experience. And I love to look at it from perspective of Daria. If you remember the series about this high schooler, very sarcastic high schooler, and she was growing up in school where she was not really fit in. She did not really fit in her home environment. She was always black sheep. So her coping mechanism was this sarcasm and humor,
Right.
and she was like good with it. She was very good, and she was telling like, what does not kill you makes you stronger.
Yes, true.
So this is actually like one way how I am looking on resilience. Like, when I want to push myself a little bit, I'm thinking like, does it kill me? No, I'm going to do it. So we can have a look on it as set of coping strategies, and social skills. Part would be the humor that we have. It will be the confidence that we build up. It will be also the connection that we create with other people. So that goes with the social skills as well, and how we control our emotions, or whether the emotions are controlling us. So I would say that it is kind of set of skill set that we build up when we are facing some difficult situations in life. And from like perspective of biology, like I like to watch ants, and
Okay. Ants. Okay.
and there is reason why I want to say this, because ants are very social, and they struggle a lot with many different things. They have their own agricultures, they have job division, they live in a huge number. So if you live in such a huge number altogether, it's basically party time for all parasites and viruses. So they are really resilient in sense that they have self-medication system, and they make like something about 9 million interactions per day, and they
Wow.
interact mainly to work together. They don't interact to like make friends and chat and stuff like that, but they want to work together, and create this collaboration, so the unity is working, so they are safe as a united bunch, or how to say it. So
Yes.
so I love to see this as really nice trait of being resilient. And I heard from Josh Leslie, who is studying ants, and he was talking about reorientation of our society. And he was talking that we should make a shift from the questions, how can I get the most value for me, into the question, how can I add most value for all of us? So I think this is nice perspective, how we can have a look on our society and being more resilient.
Can I ask then, Michaela? So, in comparison to ants, are humans
Mm.
known to be more resilient than ants, for example? I mean, you mentioned there that, like, in terms of interactions per day, or that an ant, is it an ant colony? Is that what they call them? Are they a
Yeah,
colony? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Would they have? I mean, would humans, especially now with technology, are we that way now compared to many years ago? Would we be as resilient as ants are?
So, what happened with the COVID pandemic? Like, this is like a little shake-up in the system, right?
Yes.
And what was cause of it? So I think we have actually a little bit more work to do in this resiliency as this united package. And ants are here much more longer time than human are. But the human has amazing ability to decide who we want to be and how we want to react.
Yes.
Ant will not decide to be shark or to be lion. This is actually also what my teacher told me, that this is actually our superpower and I start to think about it more, and I really love it, because we can decide really every day who we want to be, how we want to react. So we can make shift immediately and create totally new story. And this is something that fascinates me and makes me think like this is wonderful. And then there is the second thing, that we are able to laugh. We have such a strong connections to everything around us, and we feel that we just feel everything. So our emotions are super important and can be huge power that drives us and create that inner strength, if we know how we can work with them.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant information and advice. I mean, when we talk about, I don't know if you had this happen during COVID, but in some countries, including Ireland, you talk about resilience, but the majority, I say the majority, but a lot of people went and bought toilet paper, and you kind of realize, okay, what's your priority here? Is it,
Yeah.
it's you're not going for water, you're not going for food, you're going for toilet paper. Was it the same in the Czech Republic? Was the same kind of behaviors in the Czech Republic, or were they going for beer?
Yeah, I would say that many people went really for beer.
Okay.
That's really what happened. And this was like so interesting for me to watch how we are affected by this group behavior.
Mhm.
So this was for me interesting experiment to see how we are susceptible to fears and to all catastrophic scenarios, while some other people, like many people around me, they were just like happy that they have some days off and they can go to nature actually, and they were actually happy. So it was like I saw both of these scenarios, and for myself, I was thinking like, okay, what I'm going to choose. It's
Yes.
just outward experience, and I cannot control what will happen around me. Like my brother's wife, she's Filipinos, and she was living in place where she experienced like earthquake every now and then. So when this hit you, you were just thinking, okay, am I going to die or not? You
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's like our brain is so neuroplastic, and we can really, by exposing ourselves to novelties, to challenges, and to work with where we put our focus to, like promoting new growth, new connections, so we can actually affect by these experiences, like structure of whole brain and our future, and we are, I think, much more resilient than we give ourselves credit to. And like the example that you mentioned, like we treat ourselves often very poorly, with our minds, with our mindset, with our food, with our emotions. So if I think for this, like, okay, we experience this situation, what we learn from it, what can we do better next time, and where we can put our focus next time. And if we practice 1% of all of this practice per day, how can our life improve in 1 year? If we just do little steps consistently, and mm,
Isn't it amazing though, Michaela, that you would wonder, you know, this is the thing I was kind of shocked by. As you said, like, the girl who has the earthquakes, and
yeah,
you kind of wonder, is she gonna, survive or not? But yet, but yet during a pandemic, certain individuals went for toilet paper. So you're you're kind of like wondering, as a psychology experiment, I'd be sitting there wondering, what on earth is their life? Is it, the priority is very different. Somebody in an earthquake is obviously ducking for cover. They probably want to get water and food, but then somebody else wants to get toilet paper. It's just very interesting. It's very, very interesting.
it is, and I think like this is really what we should like ask ourselves, like why we perceive this particular thing that we want to be safe about, and like explore what are our needs in general, and question ourselves, and I think like just talk to more different nationalities. It's really something that changed your perspective, because what COVID pandemic did was that it held us in kind of bubble, and many people were just stuck by newspapers or like TV, and there were all this information that someone else was giving us, right?
Yes.
So it was even not coming from inside, like inside need, but it was like exposure to all the panic oftentimes. And so I think like for myself, it was just shut down everything and just live my life, and be aware, um, be aware what I'm doing if I'm like really exposing someone.
Right.
But if I go to nature and I'm alone, like what's point of wearing the face mask and like doing these kind of things? it didn't make sense to me. So I just lived this way.
You just lived your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Other question I wanted to ask you. So, have you got any examples of like workplace resilience? So we have life resilience and workplace resilience. So generally, say for example, Michaela, the individual or the person who had applied for the job and they didn't get the job, or they're having problems with a manager or a colleague. I mean, how can they cope with that?
So that's a really good question. And it can be really overwhelming, right? Because you are directly in that situation and you have to think about your safety, and the paying rent is really real, right? So
Very real. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what really helped me was to have that awareness that I cannot control other people for the like at first place, but I can control myself, and I can see others people as coming towards me with good intention, no matter what the situation is perceived to be. But I'm thinking, okay, that other person has good intention behind any of activity that he's doing. So from that perspective, I was thinking, okay, that person have good intention. It's not good for me. So I can work on my boundaries, and I can just say that this is not okay for me, because the other person might not know about it. Uh, and practice the triggers, how we react on things that trigger us, because that person maybe have different background and he's not aware that he's communicating with you some way that you don't like.
Yes.
So this is what I can control. I can control my reactivity to it. So if that person is communicating with me in a way that is not comfortable for me, I can like count until 20, because 10 is maybe not enough at that moment. So I count to 20 and create a distance, to give myself a little bit more time for reaction. And when I give myself a little bit more time processing it, then I can say like, hey, like I understand you, and I understand this point of view. From my perspective, this looks like this. Is that what you are suggesting? Is that what you want to say me? Like, let's work together. I think we are, old enough. So how can we do it so we are both happy? And sometimes we cannot do it, and sometimes we just will never be both happy. And then it's our act of bravery to make next step and to see whether this is actually good environment for me, whether I want to stay there or whether I want something better for myself. And I have to push myself and step outside of this comfort zone and change something, either whole job, either whole lifestyle, either just break up, you know.
Yes.
It's also part of it, part of the game.
So sometimes I think it's what you said is correct. It's, I've had in the past where I've had, say, colleagues in a different department and I need to get something done quickly. And they didn't understand, or I felt they didn't understand what I was asking for or requesting. And it ended up kind of in disagreements, or it wasn't productive per se. And both parties kind of went away thinking, oh, that guy's an asshole, or she's this or she's that. And
Mm.
it, as you said correctly, sometimes there's just a mismatch and
Yeah,
you need that time out, and it might be just a misunderstanding. But I think it's trying as well to have, that maturity and understanding to know that, as me as an individual, I'm not always correct and I'm not
yeah,
always right. And as you said correctly, Michaela, there might be different cultures, there might be different
yeah.
understanding of things, but it's just probably trying to be like the ants, as you so nicely mentioned, trying to trying to work together for the common goal rather than
Yeah,
for the individual goal.
Yeah, 100%. Like for instance, like I had like this experience where I really needed to go to bathroom at train station, right? So I went, I paid the automat, and I wanted to go there, but the cash was not working, and then when I paid by card, the doors were not opening up, and I started to be like
You're getting
upset about it.
frustrated.
Yeah, because you have your need and you want to do it, right? So
Yes.
the woman was running there, and she started to yell at me that like I am rushing, and when everyone else was able to do it and I was not able, so I am wrong. And at that moment, like I could very easily to jump into the funny game of hers,
Right.
and I could be reactive, but I really paused. I had that urgency in me, so I was doing then what I had to do, and this was so beautiful because I had the gap between it. And later I came to her and I thought like, okay, I understand that you are frustrated by many people who are doing maybe difficult job for you. From my perspective, I did this, and it did not work. So maybe we can check the machine, the automat, so it can work properly. And then she was laughing, and then she told me, okay, so it's good that we have laughter. And it was
Yes.
totally different story. It was like it changed all the day for both of us. She had good laughter, and I was calm that I stand for myself and I kept my boundaries. And what she will do with that information, I cannot control. But I felt, good that I said what I had to say.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Absolutely. It's just real life. So brilliant examples there, Michaela, of workplace resilience. Can I ask then, what about? I always wondered this. So, do you know when you want a job, so you apply for a job, and the
Mhm.
job says, urgently required. We need, 500 people or 400 people, and you apply for the job, and you get a reply, and the reply says, unfortunately, um, you were not successful,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So my understanding now, the more over the years of applying for these jobs, is that sometimes um, the, the 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 company advertising the job might be just advertising it to actually prove they're in business, right? Or secondly, the company might be have an internal vacancy that they have to advertise. It's generally you kind of feel a little bit disheartened because you feel you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you
Mm.
have the qualifications, but you can't get this job, and you're kind of saying, well, why? So how do you react, like with resilience, in terms of that situation where the company has said, so in your mind you're thinking, well, this company says they're urgently requiring so many people, but I have all the qualifications, I have all the knowledge, I have all the background, but they've told me no. How do you react to that?
Yeah, so this is a cool question, and I'm thinking about it from perspective. Like first that came into my mind was that there is many possibilities in the world. Like there is limitless possibilities. So I would ask myself like, why exactly I want to work in this precise company? Why exactly I want this job? And if I really want it, if this is the best company ever, and this is the best job ever, and I really, really want it, just not give up and just try another time and do a little bit better. Think what I have done, what can I try differently, like to have that research perspective or scientific perspective, like okay, this did not work, so I might be maybe even not seen by the people uh, because they did not open the email maybe. So can I do it somehow differently? Can I maybe call the person and ask for some feedback, and tell that I am really curious about it, and this is why. So what kind of skill set I should work on, like explore things. And if you find out that this is maybe just one option, so you love the job, but there are maybe other companies or other ways how you can actually do this job, the same job. So can you do it like different way? Can you start yourself? Can you Google different companies, and you might find that there is actually much better option and much better possibility for you.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great suggestions. I mean, I remember a friend of mine years ago. I had applied for a couple of jobs, and I didn't get the jobs. And
Mm.
he had said to me, sometimes he said, David, they're actually doing you a favor. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. And I said, what do you mean do me a favor? He said, well, sometimes he said the company's not right for you.
Yeah.
And they kind of know that already because maybe you're not the kind of same personality, or you might have a different way of doing things, and they probably see that, and they probably think, oh, well, this guy or girl, they're just, they won't be suitable for us, and they're actually doing you a favor. And that's the way I kind of look at things now. I know it sounds kind of easy when you apply for a job and you don't get it. It's easy to
Yeah, the
say,
rejection is so real, right?
yes, but it's easier to say to the companies. It's easier to say. My brain kind of thinks now and go, ah,
Yeah,
well, they did me a favor. They did me a
yeah,
favor. They didn't want me, so they did me a favor. So I just move on. But as you said
yeah.
yourself, there's other ways of doing it. You can reach out to the company. Maybe there's so many ways of social media platforms. You can go the step further to show that you have an interest in joining that company.
Yeah, and I think here is really important to not fall down in this victim mentality mode, like to think that like, oh, I am feeling miserable because did not work out, and now what will happen? I will not find job anytime soon. So this is something that we just have to work through it, and the easy way how to do it is to you know change the physiology of our body when our mind is struggling. So we can dance, we can uplift ourselves with good music, we can do the exercise, we can do the cold showers, we can just practice with the food as well, like to change some food habits and routines, so we can start to rewire our brain. You can even try to practice every day. If you brush your teeth just with right hand, you can start to brush it with left hand, and watch what is happening, how you start to think differently, and you start to think, oh, this is interesting, I haven't tried this before, and then you, with these little simple habits, you can then move it into these maybe harder issues.
Yes.
So I would say, like, just it's practice, and with mind, like we focus on exercise, on physical body, and I think we should practice our mind as well. So that if the rejection happens, you should be happy. You should be like, oh, cool, this is new experience.
Yes.
How can I approach it? Like, this is new for me. What I'm feeling.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, no, you're right, because I think rejection is good because, as you said yourself, it's a new experience. You learn new ways of handling it and how to manage it later on in the future.
yeah,
The thing I always remember, Michaela, is when a company, and this is just in relation to applying for jobs or workplace resilience, when a company applies or advertises a job or a position, I think you mentioned there correctly. We need to rewire our brains that the company is a business, and
yeah,
generally businesses are there to make money. So you don't get upset when you don't get the job, because at the end of the day, the company is there to make money. You know what I'm trying to get at? And I think what happens is a lot of individuals, when they apply for jobs or they don't get it, they as you said yourself, it's like it can be like a pity. I feel sorry for
yeah,
myself, and
yeah,
but if they realize that a company wants what's best for them because
yeah.
they want money. It's very simple. And if you can kind of rewire your brain to kind of get over that and keep moving forward, isn't that the trick, Michaela? You keep moving forward.
Yeah, keep moving forward, and think from this ant perspective, like what value actually can I add, you know? Like what can I give to the people? So my job has then even much more meaning, because I know that I want to work in this company because I want to change something in society, for example. And if I will be in, for instance, this research company, and in that lab I can co-create something, right? Or like I want to be HR specialist because I want to change HR world and environment, and I want, like, people will be treated differently, and there will be actually not, it will be not only about money, but
Yes.
it will be also about relationships and how we feel. And maybe it's time to think that we actually want to be in an environment where we can be vulnerable, and we can, through this vulnerability, strengthen each other, because we say that this is the issue and this is how we would like to solve it, and whether it is possible. Because this is how we grow. This is when this resiliency happens, from this bravery that we can actually express ourselves and tell honestly, like, this is the thing, let's talk about it. And if we manage to do this, then, like, we are in this peaceful state of mind, and we are much more creative, we are much more in the flow, things are much more easier, and we work together instead of against each other.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. There was, I don't know if you ever seen Michaela. There was a movie that I love. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was the Rocky movies, but there was a speech that Sylvester Stallone made as Rocky Balboa in the movie, and the thing he mentioned was he kind of, it's so motivating, because he just keeps on saying, keep moving forward, keep moving forward. So that's how winning is done, he says. And it's as you said correctly, it's about changing your mindset, rewiring yourself, learning from experiences, and kind of, do you think as well, Michaela, like, is a bit of tough love? Do we need a bit of tough love in our lives to be resilient, do you think?
Yeah, this is such amazing question, and I'm like, I've been thinking about it a lot, because for me, love and tough, in a way how I perceive it, is not going together.
Yes.
Maybe it's my limiting beliefs, I don't know, but for me it's love something much more. But what I think it's important is to have this brave love. So the brave love, how I see it, is to work through differences and expose ourselves to these differences, and express our own truth, while we still keep connected to the other person. If this does make sense. I mean, for me, it sounds easy when everything is working and we agree on everything, so it looks like everything is okay. But then again, there is this shake-up from outward world,
Yes.
or there is a lot of stress, there is something happening, and then we suddenly start to see the differences, that we react differently, we have different limiting beliefs, and we don't agree on everything. And I think this is what is important also to practice, to expose ourselves to different beliefs, to different mindsets, and to see actually whether we can remain really connected to the other person, even when we say things that that other person don't really like.
Yes.
For instance, for me, and I don't want to talk about my clients, but for me, when I'm exposed to coaching through my coaches and my teachers, it's not easy. It's not that I would be like, okay, I'm open to growth, and put it on me. I have also the resistance, so I know very well how it feels when you are resistant to expose yourself, and to see that there is actually something much deeper, and your limbic system is so smart, it wants to keep you safe, and it wants to keep you in that comfort zone. And that's why it's so important to have that teacher or coach or mentor who is challenging you in this way. And it's tough in a sense.
Yes.
In what you ask about, from my perspective, it's that bravery, because that person is actually exposing herself or himself to be in the position that I will not like that person, which is one of our fears that we have. But he's honest, he's doing the best that he can, he has good intention. And when I look at this from this perspective, I can remain connected to that person, and I can actually really open up and work together with him on this.
It's yeah, sorry, continue, Michaela.
Does this make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It's. I think you said at the beginning of the podcast. It's pretty much what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it's it probably goes down to as well. You know, you mentioned as well like different cultural beliefs, and sometimes one individual might have a way of expressing themselves, which might make the other person feel a little bit more insecure. But it's all about learning, as you've mentioned. It's all about training yourself. And open yourself up to different experiences. And you've said all of them during this podcast, so which have come across really, really well. So thank you very much for that. Now we're going to move on then to the business side, Michaela. So I'm on your website, and I'm being very nosy. It's do we say www dot now, or do we just say HTTPS? How does it work now? I mean, oh no, it's actually, yeah, it's correct. I'm gonna say the correct way. HTTPS dot / it's Michaela Czernekova.com. And so how does it work then, Michaela? So if say for example I want to get in touch with you tomorrow, and I want to find one of your services or have a coaching session. So how does it actually work? So do I go to your website first, or is it social media, or is it LinkedIn or Instagram? So okay, I'm the person now calling you up. So what do I have to do to get in touch with you?
Yeah, thank you, David. So you can find me on socials, on Instagram and LinkedIn, and on these web pages you can just book a call. So we can have first call where we go through, if I can be of any help for you, and if we find out that not, it's also okay. I have contact to many other people who I would happy to provide you with. So don't worry to book a call. And I have a whole program that is really beautiful and very holistic, where we go through the food habits and routines, and we address also your needs, so we can keep the routines and habits that you want to create sustainable. We work also through triggers to understand the way how you cope. I have part that is focused also on sleep, actually sleep issues, because this is something that can that also can be practiced actually. So and it can be like leveled up. It's about routines around that we have around the sleep. And so it's very easy, it's very doable, it's step-by-step process where you will be guided, so you will not feel overwhelmed. We also work through these issues that was mentioned here about the building up confidence, boundaries, work through those parts of ourselves that are holding us back. And also in next spring, I organize actually very beautiful retreat where you will get yoga practice and coaching, and it will be also with cooking. So you will learn these things that I have in program practically in like very short time. It's for 4 to 5 days. And I believe that like traveling is one way how we can learn and rewire our brain. So that's why I organized this retreat. So
where is the retreat,
to...
Michaela? Is a retreat in the Czech Republic?
So I have two options. One is in Czech Republic. There will then this one will be later. And this first one on spring is in Switzerland, actually.
Oh, wow. Very
So
nice.
yeah, it will be in nature, a lot of nature. My friend who is helping me with organization, he spent 12 years in Switzerland, so he knows like very unique and peculiar things about Switzerland. So it will be really cool, really cool.
And
I am really excited about this.
will this be on your website soon? The details for the Switzerland trip as well?
I will post it definitely on LinkedIn and on socials. So stay tuned. It will be there. And if you book a call, you can sign up even just for mailing list, and I can send you all the information in the mailing.
Well, that's very good because I think a lot of people will be interested. I mean, the Czech Republic, I know myself, is beautiful. I think as
Mm.
well, Switzerland as well has a little bit of difference to it. So I think a lot of people will be
Yeah.
very interested in that. So get that out there in the advert world at the moment, Michaela. Get it out there. People need to hear it. People need to see it. So what about one question I want to ask you is, oh, actually, before I ask you this question, the sessions that do you do? I know you have the Switzerland trip and you have the one in the Czech Republic coming up, but
Mhm.
most of your sessions can they be global online sessions or are they generally in person with the individual?
Yeah, so we have mostly online sessions. We have also Facebook group that you are connected with all the other people if you want, of course. So you will not be alone. And then I have this retreat where we can meet and go deeper into things. And you are also in the group setting, so that's also different modalities. So yeah, within the program we work online, and then there is this alternative, this retreat where we can meet face to face and work together, like really intense.
Brilliant. So are you on all the social media? So are you on Instagram, Facebook, as you mentioned, LinkedIn? Where else is out there now? Twitter. Are you on everything?
Twitter, I just looked in. I am not posting there, nothing yet.
Okay.
But I have Instagram. There is Dr. Michaela Coach, so you can find me there. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I guess that's it.
Are you
That's it.
dancing on TikTok, Michaela?
I'm not dancing on TikTok. Sorry. I will dance with you on the retreat.
Okay. No, no dancing on TikTok. Okay, fair enough. So
Not
one
yet,
quick,
not yet. I'm
not
not
yet. You will
getting
eventually.
that
Don't worry.
comfort. Yeah.
Everybody does it. So can I ask then? This is just something totally different from resilience that we're talking about
Mhm.
today. So you hold a PhD in cell biology, and because this is the well-being and career world, so in case somebody wants to get involved as a career as a PhD in cell biology, what is that?
You mean, what does it mean to hop into this environment, or
No, what does it involve generally to have a PhD in cell biology? Why did you do that?
yeah, I was questioning myself so many times. Yeah, so I mentioned that actually I was always curious about growth and mindset, and I always wanted to study psychology, and I did not trust myself, and I was like exposed to some limiting beliefs of my family background. So they told me that I have to pick the school that is closest me and that is cheap, and I will manage to finish it.
Right.
And so the school that I found was there was this program about social sciences and biology. And that's how I started. I actually didn't want to study biology in the first place. I
Okay.
wanted to go to this psychology field and stuff like that. And when I was digging into this program, they told me, okay, there is actually not so much of psychology. There is
Okay.
politology, economy, and philosophy. So, and I just jumped on it, and I found biology really fascinating. I really loved it. And I always loved nature as well. So I was studying, and then my teacher told me, okay, these are tardigrades and they survive everything, and we don't know why and how they do it. And I was like, that's interesting. I want to know more. Like,
Okay.
and at that time, like there was like nothing known so much about them, and this was the only information that I got. So I started really from 0 point, like totally from zero. I even didn't know English well, and there was nothing in my language written about them, nothing. So I was learning English. I was studying. I was reading all the manuscripts that were quite hard to read at the time for me, and I was curious and open to learn, and that was all. And I found like, oh, this is so cool, and we can use it maybe for future, because if they survive like such a huge temperature and low temperature, and they can survive open space conditions, and if they don't have water, their metabolism is stopping, and they survive it for 30 years. And I was just mind blown by this. And I thought, like, how can we learn from it? What can we do with this kind of information as humanity? So my goal was to start to build up cell culture of their cells, because there is no cell culture. And I was thinking that if we have this cell culture, we can learn more about the proteins that they have, and how genetics does work, and what genes are involved in this process and in their resiliency. And I did not manage until now to build up the cell culture, but I was starting by the small steps. So before I started to work on the cell culture, I was thinking, okay, do the cells actually divide? Because in the manuscripts there was written that cells that does not divide, so the cell culture is not possible to do. And I was thinking like, okay, but there's actually no real proof of it. So I was thinking, okay, so let's test it. And I realized that the cells actually divide, but they need specific conditions of body physiology to do so. And it's not in huge amounts. So step by step, I was going just through these little experiments. And now we actually are in the point that we know that they have very specific and unique proteins, that if you transfer these proteins into human cells, these cells are more resistant to radiation, which is like mind-blowing, that you can just have some protein that really enclose DNA, so it helps DNA to be protected against the breaking down.
Fascinating
So
stuff.
yes, yeah. So who knows where we will go with this? So and I am saying this story because I started with zero information, with zero knowledge, with nothing,
Mm-hmm.
with totally nothing. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what I should do. I have zero information. So only thing that I actually had was this curiosity and kind of just keeping myself in joyful mindset. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you had resilience as well, Michaela.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. I practice a lot.
I think you did. But so if anybody, I mean, I have no idea about what a PhD in cell biology is, but if you're looking to get into cell biology and you're looking for to get a PhD, get in touch with Michaela, because I'm sure she'll be more than happy and delighted to give you all the information that you need as a career in that area. So all that's left for me to say is thank you so much to Michaela Czernekova, and she has a website, it's michaelachernekova.com. When the podcast is approved and released onto the website and social media, I'll put all the links in for Michaela so you can get in touch with her on her social media platforms. And as she mentioned, in the coming months or spring, there'll be a couple of new retreats, one in the Czech Republic and one in Switzerland. So thank you so much, Michaela, for chatting with me today on the Wellbeing and Career World podcast.
Thank you so much, David. It's really a pleasure for me. And I would like to add, just like if you don't want to join the whole program, but you really want just like mentoring on this academic environment, like also feel more than welcome to book a call, and I will be more than happy to, help you with this.
Yeah, no, brilliant.
Yeah.
Get in touch with Michaela. She's the example of resilience. Thanks, Michaela. Thank
Thank
you.
you, David. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.